It's been a challenging year for those of us who value the First Amendment and what it means for the press freedoms in our country. But tonight is about celebrating success. Tonight we honor those who work to defend our press freedoms and those who have shown us that great journalism can be done because of those press freedoms. I have the honor of presenting our first award tonight, the First Amendment Defender Award. This award is presented to an individual or to an organization who takes a public stand in support of press freedom. And this year, RTDNF is presenting the award to Congressman Eric Swalwell, who represents California's 15th District. He's introduced the Journalism Protection Act, which would make it a federal crime to assault journalists. In his press release, he said it represents a clear statement that assaults against people engaged in reporting is unacceptable, and it helps make sure that law enforcement is able to punish those who interfere with news gathering. How could we not agree? It's my pleasure to present this year's First Amendment Defender Award to Congressman Eric Swalwell.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Vincent. Thank you, RTDNF. And also thank you to other defenders of the First Amendment who are just as deserving of this award, the men and women in our armed services who were here earlier this evening. I want to thank my wife, Brittany, who is here with me tonight as well. Thank you for joining me. Now, I've been working for a free press since I was about 10 years old. My first job was as a newspaper delivery man. Rode a bicycle in my neighborhood, and I would sit on the porch folding up the papers, putting the rubber bands on them, and my mom would always say to me, you know, that paper ain't going to deliver itself. You better get it out before sunset, otherwise she was going to have to drive me. And the reason I was so interested in reading the paper was because I wanted to know what was going on. And that's what you do in your mediums every day. You tell people what was going on. 5th grade, I ran for student body president on a platform of sodas in the foyer and a school newspaper. And to my surprise, I won. To my parents' surprise, I won, and they had to buy me a typewriter, so I had to write a student newspaper every month. I've seen the importance of what you do and why you do it. I wrote the Journalist Protection Act to make it a federal crime for any person who commits an act of violence or intimidates a journalist from doing their job. Now, I want to assure you, I know there's some anxiety. There's a journalist exception for any journalist-on-journalist crime that may occur in a press scrum outside the House gallery or the White House briefing room. And I also want to address the elephant in the room. I've heard some of the criticism of this bill, some of it from voices in the media. I want to make it absolutely clear. I did not write this bill just to protect my friend Tucker Carlson from his guests. Tucker can protect himself. But in all seriousness, we've seen the attacks on the media, and we've seen that in recent years, those attacks have been emboldened by a president who has called you the enemy of the American people. But hostility towards the media began before the election of Donald Trump, and it won't go away when he does. This is something I saw firsthand when I was a prosecutor in Alameda County back in 2007. And I have to credit Josh Richmond, my communications director on our staff, for helping me with this bill. Josh was a reporter for the Oakland Tribune, and he saw a fellow journalist in our community murdered when he was covering a crime family and assassinated and had other members of his family intimidated. Chauncey Bailey was the journalist. We've seen firsthand how dangerous it is for you to report. And this bill would make sure that if a crime is not prosecuted locally because there's no courage or a lack of will or because of politics, that in every corner of America, there's a federal protection, a federal jurisdiction. That's how important your work is, and that's how important the freedom of press is to our democracy. So thank you for fighting for it. I hope this finds more Republican and Democratic supporters so that you can keep doing your good work. Thank you so much.